is rich in the history of Negro League baseball. You had Buster Hayward, was a catcher played 17 years in the Negro League. He was a catcher with the Indianapolis Clowns, and he played with the Memphis Red Sox. But in 1952, he was the manager of the Indianapolis Clowns, and he was Hank Aaron's first manager.
Wow.
And there was another fellow from Portsmouth that he carried with him named Ezzy Todd. He's passed away, but he was with the Clowns. He was from Portsmouth. And after he played with the Clowns, he stayed up in Canada for 3 or 4 years, but he came back. I met him a few years ago before he passed. And then you had another Negro League player who played with Larry Doby with the Nook. He was the catcher, was Leon Ruffin. Last year, he was from Portsmouth. He played 17 years. And we did a headstone for him at the Lincoln Cemetery a few years ago when we had the family. And because I'm a member of the Jerry Lloyd Conference, and we had the conference in Portsmouth, and the money we had left over, we bought a headstone for Leon Ruffin. And we had Chester Moody, who played in 1956 with the Indianapolis Clowns, because there was quite a few people from Portsmouth that played in the Negro League. But I've been fortunate that I played 4 years. They had quite a few, over 100 players that played Negro League. They played 1 year and they never come back because we were riding on that bus. You didn't have any air conditioning. It was in a building like this. It wasn't any air conditioning. And on the bus was the air conditioning. When we were riding, we'd go like, we play in Portsmouth tonight. Tomorrow night we play in Charleston, South Carolina. You ride from one game to the other. And $2 a day meal money. So a lot of the players, after that 1 year, they wouldn't come back. They wouldn't got them a real job. So I was one of the fools. I stayed. I come back the second year. Then I said I wasn't going back. Then I went back the third year. I said, no, I'm not going back. But something went off my head, so look, you better go back one more time. So I went back and played 4 years. At the end of the fourth year, Uncle Sam called me, and I ended up in the 82nd Airborne. But after the season, after we finished playing, we used to travel to hotels. When we did get a hotel, they were clean, so most of them were clean. And on each room, you had 10 rooms on the floor, and you had 2 bathrooms. So in the rooms, I don't know, you probably seen it in the antique shop, the vases, and the little bowl with the little, but that's what we had in the room. And the hotel, see, this was the beginning of television and integration. The hotel would be television in the lobby. Now in the room, you had radio. You didn't have television in every room. And then you didn't have a bathroom in every room. See, so things were a little different then now. But some of the things that you have now, we didn't have then. Plus what we did, we had to go, we knew when you were traveling, you hit the railroad tracks and you see the railroad track, you go on the south side of the railroad track, you know you was home. We had, in the black side of town, you had restaurants, and you had hotels, and we hung out on that side of town. And in Portsmouth, we had another Negro League player who was named Joe Lewis. He had Lewis's Cafe up on County Street. But see, Bishop Plummer at Dalesville, he had a baseball team years ago. But he was the one, when the Negro League player got hurt, sick, he would let him come here and recuperate. Because I know a fellow named Tommy Sampson. He's the one who actually found Willie Mays, but they give Piper Davis the credit. But when he got his fingers cut off in the mine, he came here, and Bishop Plummer, he stayed here a year until he recovered. Then he went back and played. But Joe Lewis came here, he was sick, and he stayed here. And Bishop, he was the one that, whenever the Negro League teams came through, he was the promoter. Well, Bishop was backing him, but he was the promoter of the Negro League whenever Negro League team came through Tidewater. And then with the Willie Mays All-Stars, he did. But I remember in the Negro League, I was so happy to play. In 1955, I played with the Memphis Red Sox, played a few games, and the manager's name was Goose Carey. So he said he had a big nose, and he was one of the players I read in the book when Oscar Charleston knocked the umpire down in Philadelphia one game. He was in left field. He ran in and kicked the umpire upside the head. So he had arms looked like tree trunks. He was a little short guy, but he was trying to get me to come to Memphis in '55, and we were playing in Portsmouth Stadium, and I hit a long fly. And the next time he come up to the bat and took the bat out of my hand and took me out of the game. And he pinched it. I said, "Well, I'm gonna go with him." And so I went to Cincinnati's camp, and I met this fellow. There was about 300 ball players, so many ball players. I never seen so many ball players. I never so many ball players. But all the minor league camps were in Georgia, and we had to wait during that time because they were trying to pass laws. See, they used to have laws where no blacks or whites could play on the same field. See, Louisiana had the law, and Georgia was trying to pass it. See, and Birmingham had a city ordinance that we couldn't play on the field with whites. So we had to wait a couple of weeks, and they finally, Georgia didn't pass it. So I went down to Douglas, Georgia, which was Cincinnati's minor league camp. And the Braves, they were in Waycross. The Cardinals, they were in Valdosta. And I forgot Baltimore. All of the minor league teams were down in Georgia. So I went down and had so many players, we had numbers. And I made the first cut, I made the second cut. And I knew I thought I was on my way. And there was a fellow named Bob Mitchell, he had been with the Monarch. So he said, "Look, take my number, because if you don't make it," say, "they got some Cubans coming in, a whole plane load of Cubans." During that time, that was before Castro. Batista was the head in Cuba. The Cubans were the dominant Latin players. We didn't have that many Dominicans playing. They were from Cuba. So they had a whole plane, about 50 players. And there was a fellow named Bill Powell said, "Now you see that plane? It says 50 on there, and 50 gonna play. They come twice a year, twice to drop them off, twice to come pick them up, carry them back home. Saying that 50 y'all gonna go home." So, and he was right. I was one of the 50 that was sent home. When I got home, I called the fellow Bob Mitchell. He was with the Monarchs. He said, "Sam, come on down. You can make this team." I hadn't seen him for 2 or 3 days in camp. So now I'm so crazy. I got about $25. So I'm staying with my mama and my grandfather. He's sick, so we taking care of him. So I got on the phone. When I got off the phone, I went down to the Trailway, checked on the ticket. The ticket was $19. I went and got me a $19 ticket, headed for Jacksonville, Florida. Now, I don't know nobody in Jacksonville, Florida, but on that telephone call. So when I get my shoes, I had some French Rhymer shoes, and between Norfolk and Suffolk, I looked up. I hadn't put them in my suitcase. Somebody stole my shoes. So I told the bus driver. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "somebody stole my shoes." So the bus driver said, "What you want me to do? Buy you a new pair?" I said, "Man, I thought about it." So I sit down. So when I got to Jacksonville, the Monarchs was getting ready to load the bus to come back to Charleston, South Carolina. That was it. It was Easter Sunday week. So now I get off this bus, and get on the bus and come to Charleston. When we get to Charleston, remember they got rooms, and we had 2 to a room. So they put me in a room with a guy named Joe Arenas. He was a Cuban. He was about almost 300 pounds. So when I go up to the room, he laying right in the center of the bed. So I went, I said, I'm not going in there. So I went downstairs and laid on the sofa and stuff all night on the sofa. So when we get to the ballpark the next day, we're supposed to be playing Jacksonville All-Stars. So a guy named Jim Williams, he come with 3 players and uniform. So William Dismute was the manager of the Monarchs. He was a great man. He was almost 80 years old. He'd been in the Negro League for 40 years. So he said, well, Sam, I don't like to do this, but the park was full of people. He said, we can't let this money go.
Yeah.
So what you got to do, you got to play with Jacksonville today. I said, okay. So that was the best thing that ever happened, I guess, faith. So I played. So the first time I got on base, I stole. The second time, I hit one over the scoreboard in right field. And after the game, then the manager said, come up to the room. I said, oh, you don't have to worry about you beating anymore. So sign this contract. I think I signed the contract. I didn't even look at the contract because I didn't have $6 in my pocket. Now I got a contract, and I'm gonna get $2 more meal money. See, doing that time to get $2 a day meal money. So I signed that contract for $150. See, I was just ready to play because I didn't have nowhere to go. Didn't have no, and my mama was mad. I couldn't come back home. I had to wait till she cooled off anyway. So, and I just started playing. I was so happy. I was playing. I know we were in, I think it was Indiana. After I left the ballpark, I left my glove in the ballpark. Then about 2 weeks later, I left my shoes. Payday come, and they take that out. Wasn't getting but $150. So I think I ended up with about $50 that first month. I had to buy that glove and shoes. But after that, you learn. I didn't lose anymore. But it was exciting. And we had one player that didn't play that well, and I said, I wonder why they keep him on the team. But what he would do, we'd be traveling at night, and to keep you from worrying about traveling, he started telling jokes. And he could tell a joke across 3 states. And then the next night, he'd tell another joke. He wouldn't tell the same joke every night, but he could tell some jokes. And you'd be laughing, and you ride. When you be riding, and you see the sun come up, you talk all night long. And the bus driver used to drive straddling the line. And one of the players, we had a water keg, and one of the players would sit on the water keg and talk to the bus driver. And see, and he would keep him awake, but he would ride that, straddle that line, and then we said, car coming in when he was bad to the right, but he had to straddle that line to keep him going to sleep. But I know we ended up out in Nebraska, we had nothing but wide open field. We ended up in the cornfield, and we were playing Birmingham, and they ended up in the cornfield. The bus driver got asleep, and the bus driver and it fell on the keg, he got asleep, he was asleep too. So we ended up in the cornfield. But the 4 years I played at Kansas City 1 year. Then the next year, I led the league in runs that year. So I know I got a job the next year. But then the next year, they sent me to Raleigh. They got rid of me because the player that replaced me, in 1947, when Jackie Robinson went to the majors, see, it was 5 blacks instead of 1. You probably hear about Jackie Robinson. But see, Jackie Robinson was with the Dodgers. He had been with the Kansas City Monarchs. Dan Bankhead was with the Dodgers. He was a pitcher. He was from the Memphis Red Sox. See, and Larry Doby was with the Cleveland Indians. Hank Thompson played with the Kansas City Monarchs. And Willie Brown, they were with the St. Louis Browns. They all played in 47. But you don't hear people talk about, when you hear them, they talk basically about Dobie and basically Jackie Robinson. But all five of them played. But Willie Brown, he came back to the Monarchs in '58 and took my job. So I ended up in Raleigh. So playing with Raleigh, a guy named Arthur Dove, he had about 600 jukebox, black guy. He had jukebox in all the black places in Carolina. If you didn't have his jukebox, he would let us go in there and eat. But with Raleigh, he had to carry a little pistol on the side, and he threw up, had quarters he'd be throwing up all day at quarters. And payday was coming, so we went to going to Welch, West Virginia. He got on the bus, said, yeah, don't worry about it, I got 7 scouts up here gonna look at y'all. So we going up West Virginia, got up to in the mountains and got up to the top of the hill and then bust through a rock. So he told him, had to carry the bus to the bus station to get it fixed. So this lady had this hotel. He told her, said, look, don't worry about nothing. I'm one of the richest blacks in North Carolina. He pulled out a roll of money like that. He said, you want me to pay you now? She said, no, don't worry about it. Don't pay me now. Don't worry about it. So we stayed there about 2 weeks. So one morning she said, look, I got some bad news and I got some real bad news. She said, the bad news is Doug has sent and got the bus. And the real bad news is I'm going to feed y'all breakfast and I'm going to give you a sandwich for lunch. And you're going to have to hang out for your dinner. She said you're going to have to get out here at 12 o'clock. Now I run to the telephone, I call my mom, I said, Mom, I'm stranded, send me $100. She said, boy, you must be crazy. I'll send you a bus ticket. I said, no, I'll call my uncle. So I called my uncle, got $50. And then it was a black fella I used to work for, he used to lay tile. So he waiting for me to come home so I can go to work. So I got $50 from him. So I had a record player, about 10 albums, suitcase. We hitchhiking on the highway. So we was able to hitchhike from Welch, West Virginia to Raleigh, North Carolina. So when I got to Raleigh, I went to the owner and couldn't be too tough on him because he had a pistol and he already killed a man in Raleigh. So I talked real nice and pleaded, so he gave me some of my money. So I didn't want to come home. See, during that time, when you had the YMCA, you don't see, like you see homeless people now, you could go to the Y. If you had $2, you could spend the night at the Y. Or if you didn't have anything, they had about 50 bunks in the Y. You could sleep in the bunk for free. So we stayed there until the season was over. So the next year I said, well, I'm not going to go back, So then I went to a fellow when Memphis was coming to Raleigh. So I went to Raleigh and Doug, he thought I was going to go back with Raleigh. So I got on the bus and went to Memphis, and the Memphis Red Sox, J.B. Martin, he was the dentist here up on Effingham Street that pulled children's teeth in there with Holly. But his grandfather, they owned the Memphis Red Sox and the Chicago American Giants. And he was the last commissioner of the Negro League. But Memphis had their own ballpark. And they had, in the ballpark, they had rooms for us. And they had like a hospital bed, and we had a kitchen, and we had a laundry room. See now, when you're playing with those other teams, you got that uniform in the back of the bus, and when you take that uniform out, she'd be smoking. And you had to go to the ballpark and let it air out, but you couldn't get close to the guy next to you. But in Memphis, you stayed on the road 2 weeks, and you come home and stayed 2 weeks. And that was more like professional. Plus, they had Martin had a check, would give you a check, and you could cash it in any drugstore, any place in Memphis. That's how respectable they were, because they knew they had money. And yeah, I enjoyed that. But then the next year, I would have gone back, because Satchel Paige was going to take a team to Canada. But I was supposed to go with him, but then I got drafted in the Army, so that killed that. And then I got extended. After the 2 years, I got extended 2 months and 10 days. So that ended. Then I got married, so that ended that my baseball career going on the road. But it wasn't fun, but it was, I enjoyed it. It was something about baseball. Then I guess about 10 years went by, and they said, look, they're gonna have a reunion down in Kinston, North Carolina. So when we went down to Kinston, down in Carl Long, he had all the players that played. We met in North Carolina. That's when we started having reunions. So I had forgotten all about, walked away from it. And then Bob Mitchell had, with his senator in Florida, went to the commissioner of baseball. So what they did, they said, well, since the major leagues was responsible for breaking up the Negro League, because once Jackie Robinson went into the major leagues, we got polarized by a black playing on a white team. We stopped going to the black games. So that put us out of business. So what Major League Baseball did was start giving us a little stifles. And I was almost 80 years old before I got my first check. Wow. But they gave me a lump sum when they did give it to me. So I said, God bless me. If you live a long time, good things happen to you. So now I'm fortunate, because I'm one of the 2 Negro League players. We go to the All-Star game. We were in Baltimore this year, and I was in Cooperstown. We had the East-West game. I was the captain for the West team, and I was then I went to Birmingham. And I just got back from Arlington, Texas, at the All-Star game, and I'm getting ready to go next week to Kansas City to the museum. So life is great at 88. Yeah, that's my story. And I'm gonna stick with it.
You get a little bit more than $2 for food travel now?
Huh?
You get a little bit more than $2 for food travel now?
Major leaguers, oh yeah, they were getting 20 then. We were getting 2, they were getting 20.
But what I'm saying today now, when you travel to Kansas City and all these places, you get a little bit more than $2.
I get major league. They treat me like they treat the major league. Plus, they have, last year they decided to consider us part of the major league. So even the pension soon should be on the major league level. So things are happening, good things are happening. Yeah.
Mr. Allen, I've, now that I have you in front of me, I've heard, through the media and over the radio, different players' take on why there's so few African American players in the league today. I've recently heard, Gary Sheffield give his take on it. Now I'll ask you, why are there so few African American players?
Tell you, you watch television, you a football fan, and when you turn that television, you see all them blacks on the fan. And you see them white folks paying that money. You turn that on basketball, you see all them blacks playing, white folks in the stand. So white folks got to have something, because they spending all the money. So what they do with us, they stop from the beginning. They start at the bottom. And I know in Norfolk, Portsmouth might be different, but in Norfolk they build schools and they don't build baseball fields. So if you don't play, if we play, whatever we play, if it's Mumden Pay, we're gonna win. That's in our DNA.
That's right.
Yeah, we're gonna win.
Right.
Yeah, but the only reason you don't see them there because we don't play. But it's still, even today, I see quite a few young ball players that's coming up to the majors. As tough as it is, yeah. But Norfolk, now Portsmouth, you had the Charles Peak little league. Now Charles Peak was, he was from Franklin, but he was the one that played here with the Merrimacks. Yeah.
Well,
Any question?
I'm sorry.
Young man.
Go.
Jackson, you got a question? Okay.
Kind of building on what he was saying, and, you know, back in that day, you know, for us black kids to have something to do, baseball was in Stumps basketball. Baseball was one of the things that we did.
Oh yeah, but see what we did, we had to, just like when I was coming up, had to cut wood, bring in the coal before we went out to play ball. Then when you come after you finish, you got that coal stove, you had to cut some more wood, bring in some more coal, see? But now they've got cell phones, this is the monster, they got that, they on that cell phone, see? Plus, they don't even have recess now. See, when I was in school, we couldn't wait for recess. You get out and you run, and the children now, you wanna know why they wild, because you got them cooped up. Yeah.
So, my question, I have something that came up, when you played in Portsmouth, and I guess the stadium was Lawrence Stadium?
Yeah.
When you played, was there any interaction? I know, cause I lived out in Hodges Ferry, out in Chesapeake, Portsmouth Boulevard, up in that area.
Right.
And I found out that we had a lot of the little cities or the local counties had baseball teams. And
Oh yeah,
and Hodges Fur had the Hodges Fur Braves.
Right. You had firefighters, and you had every little town, every little section had their own team.
Did you ever play in the ball in the Chesapeake?
I played all around.
Boulevard?
I played semi-pro ball, Green Sea, Orioles,
Junkie Truck Drivers.
Bell, Cedarburg, Dodgers. We played the Portsmouth Cubs with Sonny, what was his name? I know Leon Ruffin was the manager, and Moody was on that team. But we played every Sunday, and then you went down North Carolina, you know. We had baseball team, every block, I guess you had so many we played baseball. Then what hurt us, when they started with that slow pitch, that killed the baseball. A lot of the grown guys stopped playing baseball, and they started playing slow pitch. Yeah. And I even did that myself.
Yes, sir, Mr. Allen. I'm delighted to be in your presence. Often, we don't have the opportunity to be in presence of people who are living archives.
Right,
You know,
right.
You know, we read about it, but when you get a chance to be in the presence of a person who had personally experienced things, especially in the past, you know, really making that connection. I really appreciate this opportunity to be able to be in your presence. I want to ask you, the first time you put a baseball and a bat in your hand, the first time you did it.
First time I did it, my grandfather used to carry me. I've had the luxury of living, when I grew up in Norfolk, the ballpark was on Rugby and Church Street. I was about 3 blocks from the ballpark. Then when I got married, I lived about 4 blocks from Met Park. Now I still live about 4 or 5 blocks from Harbor Park. So always, but I started when I was real young.
Park.
My grandfather used to carry me. See, I tell you what he used to do. The old timers used to go to the games, and it was like a club for them. They'd put in, and they have a little pint. See, so they'd be passing. I didn't know. But what my grandmama used to do, she make my grandfather carry me to the game. So after the game come, he got to bring me home. See, so yeah, they made sure I was there every night. But I knew the players. When I was 5 years old, I could tell all the players, the numbers, and then I knew the strategy too of baseball. See, yeah, and that's what we did. We played, and then when I became about 12, I went to the baseball park every night. See, and carried my glove If you catch a foul ball, that was 50 cents. So we would catch foul balls and catch 2 or 3 foul balls. Then after the game, there was a little confetti, was cut rate up there. You get 2 hot dogs and a soda for 25 cents. So,
There you go.
yeah.
Long gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sam, you know, it's always a pleasure to hear you, and every time I hear you, I hear something different. So the history, and thanks for connecting Portsmouth with a lot of the Negro League. And I want to mention too, you started out mentioning Booker T, and I think a lot of people don't know this, and I don't think it's been done since, or not many people have done it. You scored, and you're talking about baseball, but you played football, and you scored 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, 4 extra points.
And one against Norcom.
Yeah, no, it was against
What-
Crestwood.
Yeah, it wasn't against Norcom. I wanted to make that point. But I also want to say, as far as history's sake, a lot of people see baseball games mostly at night under the lights.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people don't know that started with the Negro League,
Right,
the lights.
like the Kansas
Before-
City Monarchs, as a matter of fact. And we always had some form of integration in baseball because Wilkins, that owned the Kansas City Monarchs, was a white man from Iowa. And he mortgaged his house to buy lights. And the Negro League played 5 years under the lights before the major leagues did. They had a truck where you ride around. I know once we were in North Dakota playing, and we went to the town, we saw some trees. Said, where's the ballpark? We said, that's the ballpark. So the bulldozer came and pushed the trees down. And then the truck come with the lights on it. And the only problem when you're playing, when they got that dynamo, when she crank up and you out there in the field, and they hit a fly ball, and when that dynamo cranks up, lights get real dim. You looking and you see it, and if that light it was so high, if that ball goes above that, you gotta almost wait for it to come down. Now we were blessed that we could foul ball, we didn't lose balls in the sun, the way they play now. Just like in the major leagues, I could bunt, I could drag bunt. The guys in the majors can't do it no more. See, we played small ball. That was a leadoff batter. I could dunk that ball down if the pitcher was falling that way. I'd bunt that ball that way. I'd get on base. And then the next, I had a fellow named Jim Robinson. He could hit that ball to right field. I would end up on third base. See, then we get a fly ball, we got to run. That's how we played that small ball. But everything they do now is swing up, hit home run. Yeah.
What kind of pitches were the pitchers throwing back then when you played? Well, you know, like now, you know.
Oh man, it was throwing, look, but the problem then, we didn't have helmets.
Okay.
Yeah, they throw that ball at your head, cause I got a friend of mine now that, we traveled together, named Pedro. He's Cuban. First time I hit one on him, I hit a home run. And the next time he said, well, you know, hit me no more. So he threw the first one at my head. I ducked. Then he threw the second one at me. He threw the third one. So then he said, look, you know what I'm gonna do with this.
There you go. There you go.
But I never hit any more home runs. I didn't try.
What was the hardest pitch for you to hit? What was the hardest coming at you? What ball?
Well, I had this fellow named Willie Smith. He ended up playing with the Cubs in Detroit. Then he ended up playing in the outfield. He was a real good hitter. But he had a curveball. He was left-handed. And in Birmingham, he had a curveball that was wicked. So took me a couple, 3 or 4 games until I got used to it, you know. Yeah, but that ball would be breaking out, and he throw one hard in at you, see. By you not having that helmet, you got to duck. Then the next one, you throwing that curveball breaking away.
Yes, sir.
But then once you stand in there, you can hit it to left field.
Right.
When you were in the military, and I guess you went overseas, Where did you go overseas?
No, I didn't go overseas. I played ball. I played ball at Fort Bragg. I even played football at Bragg.
So that was, but you were in the military?
Yeah, I was 82nd Airborne.
Okay, so the baseball was really what y'all had to do to keep y'all occupied.
Oh yeah. Well, see, during that time, sports, this military had sports.
Yeah.
See, because like Willie Mays, he was stationed at Fort Houston.
You should play.
See, you know, all he did was they had the baseball team. Fort Houston had a team, and it's like it got good to me. So when baseball season was over, I made the football team. Normally I wouldn't play, but I said when in the service, if I get my leg broke, I would get disability. So, I played both ways, but fortunately I didn't get hurt.
So this was in the military. This was during the time when they weren't letting blacks fight into. Were y'all, was any kind of conflict going on when you was in the military?
No, I was
any kind of war?
I was after the Korean War, between the Korean War and before the Vietnam War.
Okay.
See, they were sending soldiers to Vietnam to TDY, and but the only problem that I had, the races I ran into in the military. This was 1960. After I'd been on the road, eating in the kitchens, and you would go down to Mississippi. You go to a service station and say, do you give a discount on gas? And he said, yes. So can we use your washroom? No. So then you drive a little further. But then when I went into service, I finished jump school and they pinned these wings on me and I got a little chest sticking out. Proud. When you get ready to leave Fort Benning, Georgia, going to Fort Bragg, man said, no, y'all can't, the white boys gotta get in this car and y'all gotta get in the back. I said, what? Yeah, that was in 1960. Then I was on the football team, we going to Fort Dix. Coach, the old coach we had, he was from Oklahoma, he wasn't no good nowhere. And we were hot because all we had to do, Polk Field could get a plane to fly out there. He carried us up there on the bus. And then when he got halfway, we got to State Road, Maryland. He went into a restaurant where we had to eat on one side and the white on the other side. But the fellow that had worked with the general, time we got back to Bragg, we got him fired. Yeah, but I came along, that was the time when the integration was just, coming on, yeah.
Sam, even though it was more like a labor of love for you all playing, you said it was kind of tough sometimes, but you loved to do it. The racism that y'all probably had to endure during those times, and in some places you went, it was the law, Jim Crow laws, but things changed. But then still hearing Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and Reggie Jackson still talk about, well, after integration started, like you said, still going through it.
With me, it wasn't as bad as the players that came along during the beginning of the integration that played on the white team. See, when you went on the white team, I knew we all were black in the team I played with, and we got along. But see, the white team, the first thing they mad because you come and you took one of their friends' jobs. See, they hot about that, not because you're black, but it's all about money. And just like Leo DeRocha, if you saw 42, Leo DeRocha told him, look, you can get ready, some more of them coming. See, and that's what they were mad about. Then they were mad because you were black. But they were mad, the first thing they were mad about losing that job. See, that's a payday. See, that's the first thing. But then you're black. So they add all that to it. But Reggie, when Reggie came along, he down in Birmingham, but see, we were, where we stayed at 5th Avenue, 17th Street, we had fun because it was all black.
Mm-hmm.
And, Gaston Motel, and the blacks had all, but he came along, he was on the white team, and he's staying in the hotel, staying in the apartment complex, and they talking about burning down the whole complex by him being there. But see, we didn't have that problem.
Mr. Allen, did I understand you correctly? You said you spent 1 year in, with the Monarchs?
Huh?
Was it 1 year with the Monarchs that you said?
Yes, yeah, 1 year with the Monarchs.
Okay, could you describe to us, did you spend time, you stayed in Kansas City at the time when you was playing?
No, we stayed on the road. We
Oh,
went to Kansas
What
City.
did it play?
We passed through Kansas City
Okay,
one time.
okay.
But see, when you're in Negro League, you go from town to
I
town.
got you.
And we went on a tour to the northwest all the way up to Missoula, Montana, Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota. Yeah.
So you played, was it Legend Stadium? What was the name of the stadium there in Kansas City?
That just said, what do you mean,
The baseball stadium that you all played in when you was in Kansas City with the Monarchs?
the stadium in Kansas City?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, it was, we didn't play but one night there. It was,
Okay.
what was the stadium? I know that Kansas City
Was it Legends or?
was a AAA ball doing that. There was the Yankee,
Okay,
Kansas City was the Yankee farm team at that time.
okay.
Yeah,
All right, what year was that?
that was, 1957.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
57.
Okay. So 18th and Vine, did you get a chance to spend any time down there?
Yeah, matter of fact, I'll be there next week, next Saturday.
All right, during that year, during the 50s when you were out there, did you?
Oh,
spend-
yeah, I spent one night, we spent one night.
Okay. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, the 18th and Vine.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's the historic, yeah, with the jazz and this, all of the, musicians.
Probably good food down there too, ain't it?
Yeah. That
Barbecue,
area.
yeah.
The reason why I'm raising that question because the history that I understand is that 18th and Vine was a very prominent area for African Americans. They used to do all their shopping there. They had their hotels. All their needs were met. You know,
Yeah,
18th and Vine.
straight a hotel, they had
Yeah.
hotels
Yeah.
and everything, yeah.
Had everything.
Yeah, 18th and Vine, yeah.
Yeah.
But most of the cities down south had those areas.
Okay.
Yeah, like Birmingham and Gaston Motel, and he had the restaurant. He had this, what did he have? The insurance company, Gaston. He was a millionaire. You know, he had a lot of stuff. And the Martins that owned the Memphis Red Sox was four brothers: JB, BB, ES, and W. All of them had initials, and all of them were doctors. Now, one of them they had a player, Lester Masters, back in 1940. You hear him talk about this Tommy John surgery. Well, he had a player that had, back in 1948, that had a problem with his arm, and the white surgeon wouldn't operate on him. He did it, and next year, Masters was pitching. So, you know, he was one of the first to do the Tommy John surgery. Yeah.
And the games they played when you played in Kansas City, what day was it on? Was it Sunday? Was it on Sunday or Sunday?
No, that was the night game. We went
Night
through
game.
there on the night.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't spend that much time in Kansas City.
Okay.
In Memphis and Birmingham. Birmingham was the mecca of black baseball. You play Birmingham on a Sunday, you had 12,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah. The game be on the radio. That's where we made our payroll.
Wow.
Birmingham. And in Memphis. Yeah, and then we go play Yankee Stadium. We had about 3,000 or 4,000. I was fortunate in 1959 to play Evans Field in old Yankee Stadium. We played next to the last game in Evans Field. Satchel Paige came in. Satchel Paige All-Stars came in the next week and played the last game before they tore it down.
You know, we hear about a lot of the antics that used to happen during the Negro Baseball League about how the players used to do all these, you know, just clowny things.
But that was the clowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Indianapolis Clowns. Now they come through. They had King Tuck was the clown. And Goose Tatum used to be with the Harlem Globetrotters. See, now the Harlem Globetrotters used to play the warm-up game to draw crowds for the NBA. See, the NBA wasn't drawing, but the Globetrotters was when they brought the crowds for when they first started.
And they said, I think they heard say something about Satchel Paige used to do a lot of, antics as far as.
Oh yeah, he had the players to sit down and he load the bases up, then he would strike out 3 players. Yeah. And even in his sixes, he pitched 1 or 2 innings, and he wouldn't give up a lot of runs. Yeah. I mean, it was in Canada. They would. I know one of my friends went with him in Canada, and he would carry his fishing rod, and he'd be fishing, and he wouldn't pitch for 1 inning or 2 innings a day, and they played up there in Canada when they was up in Canada. But the Clowns, they were a show. They had they played that shadow ball, and I mean they really would entertain you. And they had a little midget called Specs Bebop. He'd be half drunk. I mean, he'd be half drunk for real.
Sam, talk about the ladies that.
Oh yeah, then they had 3 ladies that played with the Clowns. Mamie Peanut Johnson, what was it? Mamie Peanut and Tony Stone, and the other one was I got it. Matter of fact, I got them on the poster right back. It was about 5 women that own baseball teams. I got a poster because I'm on that. But Negro League was unique because we had a 1948, Willie Kemp was a white pitcher. He pitched for the Cleveland Buckeyes. So they had 5 whites that played in the Negro League. So Negro League was unique, you know.
And it was easier for them to play, they'd be white and play in the
Well,
Negro League.
what Dr. Martin said, since they were grabbing the players for the Negro League, he went and got some white players. Yeah. But I know I talked to one of the white players and said he went to Birmingham and said, Bull Collins told him, said, boy, don't you go on that field, I'm gonna put you in jail. So he couldn't play that Sunday. Yeah.
That was a nasty foul, Bull Collins.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, Bull Collins, yeah.
Sam, how do you feel about the combining the Major League and Negro League records, especially pushing Josh Gibson
Well,
up
the
there?
records, some of the stuff is good, and some of it's just one to dress, and that's all they. See, when Josh Gibson, when they put him in the Hall of Fame, the records should have been recognized then. 'Cause that's what gets you in the Hall of Fame. You see, now they just decided they're gonna accept his record. So a lot of white folks are mad because he passed Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb. You know, Babe Ruth was like a god to white folks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You have questions?
I think your daughter had her hand up a second ago, yeah.
Besides me, what is your most prized possession? Eight-year-old asked me that, and when he was about to pull out, and I said, excuse me, what am I, chocolate? That's already jumping in.
That's my dog.
No, he does have a prized possession. Besides me.
Yeah, I got a pass from the Players Association. Matter of fact, you can't see the name on it, but the guy who signed his pass was one of the, and if you saw 42, name was Bobby Brigham. He was one who signed. This is a pass. This is what you call the gold pass. This gets you any professional game in the United States.
Wow.
Right here, this pass.
Wow.
See, Bobby Brigham he was at that time the president of the Players Association, and he said that the fellow was saying that he took back what he had said because he wasn't familiar with blacks, and I guess he didn't think that was gonna ever happen.
Right.
So it caught him by surprise, so yeah, when, they brought Robinson in.
It's a shame, we have a ball player in here that was, on the field, being honored with you a few weeks ago. The gentleman right there who head to college, and he's a heck of a, I've only got to see him play one time. Stand up, Kelvin, stand up, he plays ball. I'll give him a hand, he plays ball.
Oh, yeah,
He plays.
You got the scholarship.
Yes.
Yeah, we
You
got.
got your scholarship,
Yeah,
your scholarship.
Yeah.
What school are you going to? Otter Vine in Ohio.
Yeah, but, baseball has come a long ways, and still, like, when I see young fellas like that, you still got, Pittsburgh got this young fella, 6'7", playing with Pittsburgh,
Right,
so
right.
they coming from somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, and in the All-Star game, they had quite a few brothers playing.
I mean, a lot of the colleges, a lot of the colleges, like the historical black colleges, they used to be meccas for baseball, right? And now it seems like they, like you said, the baseball.
But it came, but just like they used to be football, but when integration came, they snatched all, when you used to, I know I talked to a bus driver, he was driving the bus for Florida A&M. See, Bob Hayes, and all those boys went to FAMU, see. Then, what's the running back name with the Dallas Cowboys?
No. Emmitt Smith?
Emmitt Smith. He said when he saw the people breaking up Emmitt Smith's mama's house, he knew Emmitt Smith wasn't going to Florida A&M. See, yeah, they got that alumni, they got that money, and they give up so much money, and so that's what they do with us, and they get the best, and that's the same way that they put the Negro League out of business, because they started drafting the blue chippers, the best of the players. See, now, Major League Baseball need to do a better job with black colleges, because what's happening, North State and the MEAC, they don't even have a baseball conference anymore. So they got to be into the Northwest Conference. And I think he said when they go to New York, it costs about $10,000 for that weekend. But see, baseball is expensive now. And plus what they doing with the youngsters, they got this travel ball, rather than, when I came along, we had recreation. But now the travel ball, you gotta have $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 to give the kid for, to play ball. See, it's a good thing they did have during my time, because I wouldn't been a ball player. My mama wouldn't spend 10 cents on me to play baseball.
When you go to games, do they have a special seating for you?
When I go to the game.
Yeah, any game, like the
Yeah, I
Tigers
go,
game. Do they have special seating for you?
yeah, I go to the Skybox, and we had, a young man, did you go in a restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him, he was my guest at Harbor Park last week. We had the Negro League night, and he was out on the field, and then he had a chance to go to the restaurant, and, yeah, did you enjoy yourself?
Yes.
That's good.
Mr. Sam, thank you for this. I was actually invited for this, and I just love history, so.
And that's my classmate from
Yeah.
Cleveland. We went to high school together. My classmate.
Yeah, how everybody doing? So, the time that you didn't make, you was one of the 50 that got cut. I think it was the second 50. And you had got cut.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the 50. So can you tell me, can you recall what you was thinking about when you had $25? You had $25 and it cost $19 to catch that bus.
Well, I knew I could play.
Okay.
I knew I could play. Yeah, I knew I could play. See, so, when I talk about faith, you gotta have faith.
Yeah,
And I
that's
had
where I
faith.
was going at. That's where I was going at.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have got on that bus.
Uh-huh.
See, and if I'd waited for my mama to come home, she would have talked me out of it.
Uh-huh.
That's why I went on and yeah, and I made it. So that was,
Yeah.
that's what counts.
Yeah.
That was my intention. Got any more questions?
Any other questions?
Young man, you play baseball? You play football?
I don't play baseball. I play football.
You do? Well, one thing, your education, get your education, because that's going to last. For sports, a lot of people don't understand sports is a short occupation, 3 or 4 years, but education, if you're a doctor, educator, you can teach up until you're 90 years old. But your legs, when you're playing, you're an athlete, you see a lot of athletes hopping around now. I'm one of them. But I was fortunate. God, I put down on carpet and tile until I was 82 years old. So
Wow.
I can't complain.
Tell them, Jackson, you're writing a book. Tell them you're one of our reading scholars here. Tell them about, you're a reading scholar and you're writing a book. Tell them about it. Tell us all about that. Come on up here, come here. One day you're gonna be in charge, you're gonna be lead, so come on up here. Come on up here, get some practice in now. Tell everyone about the book that you're writing. Okay, put your hat on. Yeah, you're a reading scholar. Okay,
Yes, sir.
put your hat on. Okay, so tell everybody about this book that you're writing. Go ahead, turn and tell the room. Present to the room, including Mr. Allen. Tell them about the book you're writing. You're writing a chapter book. Okay, what's your book about?
It's about magic.
About magic. Okay, about magic. Okay. And then afterwards, you will probably read it to the fellow scholars that come to read to story time, right? Right? Okay. Okay. So did you hear what Mr. Allen say? Education is key. Did you hear that? You heard him say it. Now, you had asked your mother a question about him the other day when you knew we were coming. What was the question you had? It was about Mr. Robinson. What was the question you had? You remember? You're a little shy today. Okay.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
I understand all the time.
All right. All right.
You did a good job, sir.
Joy, you got to see something, brother. See something.
Yeah, I got a book coming out, but I didn't do it. I'm not writing it. I'm talking on my tape.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had to write it. I had to be 300 years old. So I got some tape. I'm talking.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna get back on it. I start, then I stop. You know, start, then I stop. Okay, that's what I do. Yeah.
There's one question I got. You mentioned Bishop Plummer.
Yeah.
Elaborate a little bit more, because I did not know of his impact in terms of baseball. Because most of us think of, the Temple Bethel and all at that time, from a religious standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, Bishop Plummer had a team, the Belleville Grays.
Oh, okay.
And see, we used to have a Negro American Association in this area. At one time, the Belleville Grays was in that league. You had the Norfolk, Roy, Richmond Giants, Asheville Blues, Greensboro. That was like a minor league for the Negro League. And Bishop, I'll never forget when I got started in the baseball, whenever Bishop showed up, we played a game and he had one of his chauffeurs was playing. Bishop would buy the uniforms and buy all the equipment, and then he'd give us steak dinners. I remember whenever he showed up, we knew we had a steak dinner.
Well, that's interesting. I had not known that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, right, yeah, it's a lot of history in the Belleville Graves, yeah. And I tell you what, if you want to look at some of the black history, go and pull up the guides from 1950, 49, and 50 on the microfilm.
Oh, okay.
Go look at the sports pages of the guide, and you'll see this.
Okay.
You see a lot of the history, black history.
Well, I thank you for that, because I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm from Pewsville, that's why I asked.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Allen, I know, I'm not sure if you talked about it earlier, but, can you speak about the Norfolk Tars, boycott and the role he played?
You know, for Charles,
The-
let me tell you, Norfolk Towers was High Rock Park. Blacks in Norfolk, we had to go in the side gate. And our grandstand was next to the white bleachers. We put them out of business. In 1955, we started coming to Portsmouth because Portsmouth had a pitcher named Rudy May. And we would come see him. We stopped going to see Charles because Frank Lawrence, he was pretty fair because you could go in the front gate. And he had Buck Leonard. This was one of the first places that Buck Leonard played on his career, and this was the last place he played. He played with the Merrimack and hit .333. Yeah, but the Norfolk Towers, they had a general manager that didn't like blacks.
Frank B. Lawrence Stadium.
I know you got some more questions. Don't be scared to ask.
Sam, I just want to say I know you I thought it was a long time coming, getting the recognition that you finally been getting over the years. And it started some time ago, and I remember seeing pictures of you with a lot of those players who are no longer here now. But glad that they got a chance to recognize. But it was a lot that didn't receive that recognition that the Negro League played.
And the old saying, I'm standing on the shoulders
On the
of
shoulders,
giants.
yes.
Yeah, Satchel, Cool Papa Bell, Mule Settle, Mule Miles, yeah, Ed Steele. We had thousands of black ball players that you probably never heard of, great ball players.
That each one of them could have made the majors.
Well, most of the ball playing you're talking about, it sounds like a lot of East Coast, Midwest. What about California out in that area as far as Negro baseball leagues? I mean, where was most of the baseball leagues? Where was
in California? They would go out there in the winter, play.
Okay.
Yeah, they would play out there in the winter.
Okay.
And that's when they would play the white team. Yeah, they would play black.
More liberal out there.
Blacks and whites, yeah, would play out there, right? And that's how Robertson in '49 he got with Campanella and Newcomb, and he said, "What we'll do, we'll barnstorm 30 games." He said, "What we can do, we can split the money 3 ways, or I'll give you $500 a game, rain or shine. Now if it rains 2 weeks, I got to pay you $500 every day." So they went for the $500. That's when Jackie Robinson ended up in Mexico City. I think they had about 25,000 fans. That's when he come to New York and opened up Freedom National Bank. They had about 16 Pullman bags full of cash money. So then the next year, Campanella started his All-Stars.
So you had an opportunity to play against a lot of Cuban baseball players.
Yeah, when I was coming along, Cuba, before Castro took over, you didn't see any Dominican players, it was Cuban players. Yeah. But then when Castro took over, they stopped the Cubans from coming. And then Major League Baseball League, they have a academy in Dominican that they feed them, and they have the health care. That's why you see so many Dominican players, see. And Venezuela, the same way, they got a academy. But they don't have an academy around here. They started a few in this country, and I forgot where they got them now, but but
that's so much cheaper for them to do all that and bring those
the
players
same,
here
the same way you do the cars.
Yeah.
You remember years ago, we had the Cadillac and Lincoln, Ford, Cadillac, and Chrysler. But then everything was American. But then you start getting Mercedes and BMW, and the money started going, and that's basically the same thing. And they're trying to go worldwide now with the sport. Now, baseball, they're playing overseas, so before you know it, it'll be teams in Japan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and somebody back here, mentioned, tell us a little bit about the Japanese baseball. I mean, do we have, I know we have Japanese players that are coming over to America now to play.
But
Do we
years ago, blacks went over to Japan and played. And Babe Ruth went with the blacks. And Crenshaw Landers was the commissioner of baseball, and he suspended Babe Ruth, for 25 games. Yeah, but blacks actually started them in Japan. Yeah, they started traveling when they went over to Canada.
Didn't know that. Man, I didn't know that.
I got a question. I know they don't do it now. They don't make an art of stealing bases, but in the Negro League, who probably was the fastest and probably the best base stealer?
Was it Cool Papa Bell?
Cool Papa Bell.
He was.
Yeah.
Said he was so fast, his mother said, well, when she would cut the lights out, he'd be at the door, she cut the lights out, he already be in the bed.
Yeah, that's
I got a couple of his books over there.
Yeah, that's the lie that, then they said that what was happening, they had a defective, switch. But I know there's a tape that the sun always shines somewhere.
Okay.
You should get that. That's where they went down to Dominican.
Okay.
Played in Cuba, and they said Cool Papa Bell went from first to third, and the umpire said, "No, you couldn't have gone there. You crossed the field."
Okay.
But he was fast.
That's not
He was
he
real
crossed
fast.
from first base to third base.
That's what they said. Yeah, he didn't go to second. They said you had to cross the field.
Pass the mound.
Yeah. But then they went down in Dominican, and they were playing. Castro carried them down there, and Trujillo was the dictator, and he had the firing squad. They were in a tournament, and if they didn't win, he had the firing squad for them, and they won. And Castro said they gave them 15 minutes to get out of Dominican. During that time, they on that American Clipper, a seaplane.
Yeah.
He said they loaded up, so that was his last time.
Yeah.
But you should try to get that tape.
Okay.
Yeah, that James Earl Jones narrates it.
And there's another book that I'm looking forward to. We have a few baseball
Only the
books
Ball
here.
Was White.
Only the Ball Was White,
Yeah.
yeah, cause I had that at my home growing up, well, my parents had it.
Mhm.
And that's a book that I'm looking for,
Yeah.
Only the Ball Was White.
Yeah, because you had Ethel Manley, she owned the Newark Eagle. She was the owner of the Newark Eagle. Her husband was the number banker in Newark.
Come on in, Mel.
I got one more question, I guess. Because I don't watch baseball now. I used to watch baseball when it was baseball. I don't think it's really baseball now. But why don't they put more emphasis on learning the trade of baseball? Because a lot of times, like you said, most of them now hit for the fences. Either they gonna strike out or hit the ball over the fence. Why there's not more, like you said, the small ball?
They want excitement. You see, football used to be dead when they had 4 yards of cloud of dust. Then they started with the forward pass. Now you don't even need the running backs now, just somebody throw the ball to them. Basketball started, now they got the 3-pointer. That's excitement. See, they don't work the ball in to the big man inside. They don't do that. They don't. So now baseball is swinging an uppercut so the ball can go home run. That's what they want. See, and that's what's excitement in baseball when you see that home run. And that's what they're doing.
But there ain't no fun when you see a whole lot of strikeouts.
Yeah.
So where's the fun at? I don't see no fun in baseball now. I mean, it's no. I just can't get into it myself.
Well, for me, how would I put it? Bless you. I'm a Cleveland fan, and we play a lot of small ball. They run the bases, they steal, they bunt. So, because we don't have a lot of power hitters. We got a lot of lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty. So you see a lot of that. So it depends on the team that you watch. So Watch the Cleveland Guardians, and you'll see that old baseball. And for me, being a Cleveland fan, yeah, Kenny Lofton was my favorite player. He was an outfielder like Mr. Allen, and Kenny Lofton was my favorite outfielder. I still think he was just as good, if not better, than Ricky Henderson on the base pads and bunting and getting on base. Kenny Lofton was special.
And he can steal bases.
What did Ricky say when he got the base?
What did he say? He said, "I'm the greatest. I am the
Yeah.
greatest."
He's the greatest.
And he can steal bases.
You can't take it from Ricky now. You know he's going, he's still going. He made the game exciting.
Yeah, he did.
That's what you need. But black folks don't go to the baseball games anyway, though.
No, we don't.
I go.
You talked about your early days as far as a kid, as far as what you said, booker T.
Yeah.
So as far as education, how did you get what was your educational line? I mean, I know elementary, junior high school.
Yeah.
Did you
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Then when I was in the Army, I used the GI Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you, when you got out of the Army, the GI Bill, did you go to college?
Yeah, I used GI. I went to college for a while.
Where'd you
with
go?
GI Bill.
Where'd you go? What college?
I went to the college downtown Norfolk, the Jones College.
Okay.
I was trying to get that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GI Bill.
Yeah. Don't be frank.
To be honest, yeah.
And I'm fortunate that I still get the check, so,
Okay.
yeah, with disability,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, I was crying when I went in, so I'm still crying now, so.
So how many kids do you have? I mean, you got married, you got?
That's my daughter sitting back there,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
the one,
One kid. Okay.
2 grandchildren.
Sir, I have a picture that my parents had, and I don't know who it is, but they had a baseball uniform on. So I don't know what year it is, but I'd like to show it to you. That'd be years and years ago. You can grab the phone if you want. Maybe it was just like a local team back in Indiana or something like that. Does that ring a bell or?
Trying to see this. I think that with that leg cross, I've seen this picture. I think this was,
You know, like, you have
was
history,
down
but you
in,
don't
yeah,
know
I
what
think
it
this
is.
was, yeah, I think this was down in, Cuba. I think. I've seen that symbol.
What I'll do is I'll send it to your daughter.
Okay, do that.
And, maybe you can.
Right, yeah, because I think I with that
I'll
fellow
send you-
with the leg cross, yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, they passed away and they got those pictures and I was going.
Mr. Allen, do you have a lot of memorabilia pictures of you during that time or era of
Well,
the baseball player?
my wall is like a museum.
Yeah.
I got a lot of the older pictures.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
And I tell your daughter was, my mother-in-law, she had a wall like that of pictures, and then when she passed, people started coming in the house and the pictures started disappearing.
Yeah.
So you make sure when people come in your house or his house, that pictures don't start
Oh,
disappearing.
no one comes in, trust me. He's 88, but his mind is sharp and not too many people come in there.
But see, one thing I tell you, we don't value arts and our heritage. Yeah, we don't care that much about certain things happen to us, and we don't, I tell you what we'll do. Something happen, we'll protest 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, it's just like All the,
Never happened,
don't worry about it.
right.
Like it didn't happen. Yeah. But we need to be more aware of what's going on among ourselves. And one thing now, we got so that we don't really like each other. And that's bad. You know, yeah. Yeah, we love the one that we should hate and hate the one that we should love, you know. Yeah, this is a book I brought with me. These Negro legs are children.
I think I've still that.
Do you have that?
Haven't you seen this?
It's here.
Yeah, we got that here.
Okay.
We sure do. Yep. Where we got it from, I don't know, but yeah, we have that. Yep. Thought it looked familiar. Yeah. And you know, when you were talking about how y'all used to travel, we have an original green. What's it called? A green book. Where the
Green
same
book,
places.
yeah, but see
where
now,
y'all used to stay. Yeah.
We had in Memphis, we had a bus driver who actually couldn't read, but he knew he had the green book in his head. Plus, he had a block and fall on the bus. We were in a place called Bangor, Pennsylvania, up near the Canadian border. He had that motor out on the ground, tore out, and by the 6th inning, he had fixed that motor and put it back in the bus. Plus, he used to drive for the Globetrotter because he was a mechanic too. Yeah. But we knew the bus drivers, they knew the places. Yeah, they didn't have to have, they knew when you hit the town, you hit the railroad track, you cross the railroad track, see, and you know, you on your side of town.
Safe.
Yeah.
Were those buses owned by the teams or was it?
Yeah. I remember we went to a place called Graceville, Florida, and big sheriff had great big 10-gallon hat boots, and he was sitting, standing behind the dugout with a big cigar. This is how they talk now. Yeah, I brought them niggas in here last night. Yeah. They found a bunch of niggas, just like that. Yeah. Cause when once they see that bus, and they know that they gonna make sure they show you which way to go. Yeah. They direct you to
Show you your place.
Yeah.
As far as, I mean, were there a lot of whites in the stadium when you guys came into town to play ball, or was that a time?
It wasn't a lot of white, but it was always some whites. Even I can remember Mississippi, they had some whites at the game. And there was one, Greenville, there was one white police, he was a detective. And he came out on the field and was warming up, and he wasn't supposed to do that. But then after the season over, he left Chicago, he left Greenville with a young black girl that went to Chicago. Yeah. So I remember seeing him on the field.
Calvin, some chairs up here.
Yeah, when I got a chance to travel, I know down in Mississippi they had this place called Mount Bayou. That's an all black town in Mississippi. Yeah.
So traveling today is a lot different than traveling.
Oh yeah, you got the highway, but see, during that time, you had Route 66, and the rest of those highways were just, yeah.
How about 301 going up and down the East Coast?
Yeah, 301 was, yeah.
Did you run into the sunset rule in many areas?
Did
you run into the sunset rule in many of the areas you went?
Yeah, run into the sunset.
The sunset rule.
Sunset towns.
Sunset towns.
Blacks had to be out off the streets.
Oh yeah, most of them down south was sunset.
Sundown.
Yeah,
sundown.
Yeah,
Okay.
We were in
Thanks.
Mississippi, and we saw that all those people. We said we're gonna have a big crowd tonight, and that night at the ball game, I think they had 200 people.
couldn't come out because sundown on.
Yeah. But then I'm gonna tell you something else though. But a lot of those down south in Alabama and places, there are a lot of blacks that had their own little protection, and they weren't afraid of those white people. And I was fortunate when I went to jump school. There was a fellow named Charlie Price, and we went through jump school. There was 10 of us that went through jump school together, enlisted men. And he got out and went to Union. Then he went to George Washington Law School, went back in the service. Then he went back to Montgomery. And he put a lot of them clans in jail. They talk about him now, Charlie Price. Yeah.
My, you said you were in the 82nd. My sister-in-law was I believe she was in the 82nd. And she jumped out of planes, coming out of, she graduated from Louisiana State University.
Right.
And she went to jump school at 82nd and turned and went through the military and was a full-bird colonel. You know, that's the jump school and all
Right.
that stuff.
You got any more questions?
Any other questions?
I have one other thing. Some of the funniest names, some of the teams you mentioned, the Clowns, and I remember one of your stories you were talking about. I don't know if they were Alabama or some, the Crackers, and then they had a Negro team called the Black Crackers.
Yeah, you had in Birmingham. You had the Birmingham Black. You had the Birmingham Burns. Then you had the Black Burns, and most of those cities.
I think some of those teams are on that hat there.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna try to get you to
Philly
autograph that for
Stars,
me.
yeah. Yeah, this is Negro Day. The Burns, yeah, Baltimore, Chicago, American Giants, Detroit. Yeah, and most of those cities, like Chattanooga had the Choo Choos, and then the black team was the Black Choo Choos. And New York had the Yankees, then you had the Black Yankees.
Any other questions? Mr. Allen also brought some,
I brought some
stuff up here.
I got some T-shirts, a few T-shirts. I'm selling. I'm gonna knock them down to $20. I usually sell for $30. I got a few posters. I got some balls. With a picture on them. I autograph them for about sell for $25. So I got some few things you can look at. So I'm gonna
Mr. Ross, you have any questions? That's my old, Milton Ross was my old boss when I first retired from the Navy, working in the city with kids and doing stuff with kids. I invited him. He played baseball too.
Did he?
Yeah, but I just got a statement. I'm from Kansas City.
Are you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but I'm heading there for Saturday. I'll be there Saturday.
For the at the Negro League Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but
Okay.
but in the '60s, playing baseball, growing up, all the teams, Satchel Paige would be down at Parade Park in the stands. You know, and I guess like 63, 64.
Yeah, that's when he stopped playing around 62.
Right. But he could pitch. That's how I learned to hit a curveball.
Yeah.
Satchel would come on. Now, probably the first year, nobody could hit him still.
Yeah.
And he would come out there and pitch to us to teach us how to hit a curveball and stuff. But probably about by 66, I could file some pitches off from him. He would be where all the black kids, all the black teams played. Satchel would be down there every week, holding court. And every now and then there'd be some other Kansas City Monarchs when they came to town. I think Buck O'Neill.
Right. Buck was head of the museum.
Right. And then, so I grew up, and I went to school with Satchel's daughter.
Yeah, I met her when was it, last week in we were in Cooperstown.
Okay.
Satchel's daughter. But I got a picture on my wall that Satchel played in the Denver Post All-Star game in 1936. That's the year when I was born. So I'm 88, so he was playing ball then. Yeah, so no telling how old Satchel.
Yeah, he can still, they would help him up to the mound, but he can still pitch.
Yeah, I was fortunate to go out to Buffalo Neal's funeral
Right.
when in Kansas City, and I know I never seen so many motorcycles. They blocked off all the highways all the way to the cemetery. Yeah.
So I can imagine that for baseball people to talk to you, to be 88 years old and be shocked in mind and hear you talk about baseball, about times, they have to be totally just impressed and just full of joy to hear you talk about baseball and
Thank you.
set all those things so sharp and clear that it's like, you know, like you said, you need to speak and do your talking books.
Right,
You know,
right.
because it's just, you know, great to hear such.
Well, I've been blessed.
Sharp
That's-
talking and memories, because older people are not getting the best, spotlight right now.
Oh, no,
So, it's
The war gets old
there's a
people.
war, you know, there's right now, there's a big racist thing going on about old people, so it's nice to see and hear some older person to be as sharp and clear of mind as you are. We are blessed.
And I still drive too.
Oh. That gives you a lot of encouragement.
See, I got a group that I meet in the morning. I got a breakfast group. We meet Monday, Wednesday, the Monday, Thursday, Saturday. And I got a luncheon group. We meet at Burger King Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And 3 of them are over 90. And they still drive. So I'm 88, and we meet every day around 1 o'clock.
And when you say y'all meet, the first thing that came in my mind I want to make fun about is to ask you, do you meet at the Cracker Barrel?
No, I look the Cracker Barrel. I know the last time I went to Cracker Barrel, they had some good chicken and dumplings.
Any more questions?
Mr. Allen, when you were playing, what was the
Thank you.
toughest pitch for you to hit?
That left hand throwing that carry ball,
Is that the one that hit you side of the head 2-3 times?
breaking down, breaking around and down. And I know I faced in Fort Wayne, Indiana. That was a team. They had a team called Allen Jerry, and in those days, they played in the Global World Series, and not like they have the World Series now, but they had Puerto Rico, Japan, and Allen Jerry represent the United States. They would have a tournament, whoever won that tournament. And Allen Jerry, they had a pitcher named Parnell Iceman that would throw that knuckleball, and he threw it like 90 miles an hour, and he went like that. It was just as hard to catch as it was to hit. Yeah.
Kelvin, what's your toughest pitch to hit? And Milton, what's yours when you play? Kelvin,
Mine's a changeup.
hit the changeup.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it looks like a fastball but comes slower, right?
Yes.
Okay. How about you, Milton, when you play?
Probably a curve or a slider, something like
And,
that.
and Milton, the only problem is you're gonna have to be, as you play, you're gonna have to be able to pace yourself. See, the one thing with baseball, see, you play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you get beat down. Yeah, you get beat down. Some of the pitches that you can knock out the park after, once you get tired, you be fouling them off, or you be missing them. But you gotta learn how to pace yourself.
One other question about what you talking about, the guys with the big arms, is that, do you find today that the baseball players are more massive and body size than they were back when you started?
The greatest-
You're not a big man now, I'm
No.
quite sure you weren't a big man
No,
then.
the greatest players that I've seen, Mays, Aaron, Clemente, were average size guys. See, all those guys that go in the gym and work with the muscles tear, just like Bryce Harper, he running around the base and get a charter hawk. You see, Mays done played 20 years. See, and what we did, we didn't have a trainer. If you had a charter hawk, you played through it. Or you went home.
I mean, because it looks like to me, when you look at Major League Baseball today, everybody's balking up so they can get that one swinging out the park.
Yeah, but
and
now
everybody's trying to get that
yeah,
one
but now we
swing
got
out the park.
this fellow Woods with Pittsburgh. Have you seen him? He's tall just like Judge. He's 6'7". Yeah. So we got some brothers that's coming. Yeah. And I was talking with C.C. Sebastian, and he was saying about this young like pitcher. He's gonna go to Vanderbilt for a year. And then he'll be, but he said just about, he's ready for the majors now. Yeah. But that's one thing about us. We if we play, we gonna dominate. That's in our DNA. Yeah.
And that's one reason.
Just give me a chance. A half a chance.
And that's one reason why they try to keep us out of.
Yeah, but that's what they don't. Yeah, because they know you're gonna dominate.
That's the real and all the Williams girls in tennis. They hate the fact that they can go to no tournaments or to play no tennis during the years almost. Go to tournaments and dominate and then get to the.
Yeah.
They don't, we don't like that.
Yeah. Give me some questions. Young man.
Me?
No. Give me back. Baseball player.
Cal.
Milk.
No, Cal.
Cal.
You got a question for me?
Where you going to school?
School in Ohio called Otterbein.
Okay.
This is down around Columbus, Southern Ohio. It's a beautiful area.
Did you have anything to do with that?
No, but yeah, that's my cousin. But yeah, because I grew up in Cleveland, but I was pleased to hear that.
I say you. That's part
No,
of your.
no, sir. He's gonna do well down there.
You
He's
sure?
trying to deal with the cold though. It gets cold in the winter here.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Texas, I like heat, and Texas is hot. Texas is hot.
Hotter now than it was when you were down
Huh?
there. Hotter now than it was when you were down there.
But no, they got air conditioning now. But when I was, we didn't have an air. And plus, we played in wool uniforms. See, but one thing with that wool, you sweat, and you got wet, then that's what cool off. Yeah, but sometimes we be riding down the highway, and it be so hot that we had to close the windows. People think we had air conditioning. We had a window store. That air would cut your throat. Yeah, it was so hot. Yep. So, I'm still talking. Yeah, this is one of the posters I have with the when I was in jump school. I got the 82nd. And that's a picture. This poster, and I sell the poster for $20 and I autograph it. The 7 team, I was on the championship team, and that's my picture right there. And this is the ball. And this is with the ball and the glove. I sell that for $50.
How much is that hat there?
And I have, you know, this hat. Tell you what, that hat, I'm gonna give you that hat.
Well, no,
because what's happening in the back of it.
I mean, I didn't go in my head.
Take a staple.
You already signed it, yeah.
Yeah, but see.
I'm gonna get
I
this
don't
from
want
somebody.
you to see this right here. Okay.
I'll pay you in a second. Yeah, gotcha.
And I got these,
Let me have it.
yeah, this is what the shirt looks like. That's one of the pitches, that's one of our pitches.
Y'all, let's give Mr. Allen a hand.